Because it's such a great place for boating. This right here, this is Lake Union, you know, and it's not very big, but it's accessible. You know, it's all inside the city limits of Seattle. And it's a great place to keep your boat, you know, it's really easy to get to. And then right around the corner down there, you're in Lake Washington, again, the second largest lake in the state. It's great for sailing and for water skiing. It's right there. It's big. Then if you want to go fishing or crabbing, it only takes you 45 minutes to an hour to go out through the locks and down to Puget Sound. And we have great weather for 3 months out of the year. July, August, September. It didn't rain once in the whole month of July. It didn't rain once. You know, the rest of the year is kind of overcast and drizzly, and it gets dark at like 3:30 in the afternoon in the winter. It's kind of depressing, but in 3 months, it's beautiful weather.
3 months, yeah.
It's very temperate. You can actually, I mean, you can boat year round. It doesn't get that cold. I didn't see snow once this past winter. And, you know, boats are in the water year round. A lot of places you got to pull the boats out of the water. But it doesn't freeze. It's great weather. I love the weather. Now, around the 1880s, 1890s, this is a logging town. And a lot of loggers didn't want to spend the money for to buy land to build a house, because as you know, Seattle was growing, the land prices started going up. So what a lot of loggers did was just grab a bunch of logs, wrap them together, and build a house on top of it. Kind of like there's a cedar shingle, one-story little modest little floating home over there with a red kayak on the deck, a white inflatable boat right out in front of it. It's very typical. It's probably, that could very well be a 100-year-old floating home there. So it's very typical of what the loggers built. Well, other people started doing it, and then in the 1950s, there was well over 2,000 floating homes here on Lake Union, and they weren't tied into the sewer lines. They were just dumping right into the lake. They weren't regulated at all. They weren't taxed. You know, so finally the city said enough's enough. They got rid of all the 500 of these floating homes.
I know, that's what I
And that's all we have now. There's a cap. They're only allowed to have 500 floating homes. You got some small ones, you got some mid-sized ones, you got some really big ones. These couple out here in the front, that brown one, that's a $3.3 million floating home.
Wow.
And then that gold one with the columns, that's a $3.5 million floating home. That's owned by Bernie Little, the guy that owns Lowe's Hardware. It's actually got a basement with windows so you can watch the fish swim inside.
That's cool. Wow, that's cool.
We have more liveaboards here in Seattle than anywhere in the world outside of Asia. A liveaboard means somebody that, you know, lives on the water, whether in a floating home like some of these or boats. I live on a boat similar to some of these old wood ones here. And because the city won't allow any more floating homes, and a lot of people want to have more space, because you have no space on a small boat. A lot of people have to get creative. Now, see this one right here with the blue on the bottom and the dark wood and the vertical glass windows there. It looks like a floating home. It's got all the space of a floating home. But that's what they call a houseboat. And a houseboat is technically a boat. It's got a motor, it's got a steering station, navigational lights, and a tank for the waste, so you're not putting any waste into the water. And because that's a boat, the city can't prohibit it from being here. You know, they got to treat it like any other boat. And basically that boat, I mean that houseboat, you register that just like you register your car or your motorcycle in here, you know. So your boat, that is technically a boat. You go and you get your stickers for the year, you put it on your houseboat. And the difference between a houseboat and a floating home is that a floating home is permanently tethered to the dock, bunch of supply links, and it never moves. It's got the electrical hardwired into it. It's got water and sewer, you know, plumbed into the city water line and the city sewer line, and you know, it obviously never moves. Whereas a houseboat has to be able to move on demand. You got to be able to just unplug the electricity, you know, the shore power, and cast off your lines and move on your own power. And as long as you're a boat, the city can't prohibit you. Now over there, you see the that silvery boxy building with the windows in it. It's got a little one-story connector to a two-story round structure with the roof that comes back this way. That's got all the room. It looks like a floating home, but you can see it's got two outboard motors on the back, and there's a steering station in the forward side corner, the forward right-hand corner, and